My name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're reading Saturnastra Melina. This is chapter 26, the Diversion. After returning home, Melina's companions were able to get the big picture. Melina was collecting rare materials from 3 different locations, and the first was within a cave near an active volcano, and at the time the local study was a gold mine. However, soon they discovered that the gold-looking substance was not the genuine article, and to make matters worse, the newly formed mine had a smell that was intolerable, and Melina's agents had paid a handsome fund to mine the bizarre gold-like material and all the impurities that grew around them. Melina called this newly discovered metal sulfur, and she also arranged to obtain a regular shipment of clay and other ceramic items and bamboo. And the second group was also collecting white copper and obsidians, and based on these materials, Guerra figured that they were going to use them to make weapons, and the group could not rely on traditional metals of iron, silver, and copper. Preface Melina had a monopoly on these metals, and all of those mines were always carefully guarded. Naturally, all of these bizarre purchases and acquisitions drew the attention of Sterling Guy, and it was said that this man wanted to get to the bottom of this. However, a different matter drew his attention, and for some reason, all of the elven slaves were mysteriously disappearing. And according to eyewitnesses, the slaves were approached by a youth of their own kind, and others had interactions with a girl trailed by an army of fairies. And regardless, all of the elves were said to be headed to the ancient forest, and it was believed that the forest was the last bastion of free elves in Nemorensis. Scouts had seen their ilk at all times in the past, and when captures were attended, the elves disappeared into the magical woods, and not many resources were invested in the search since the few spotted were fey, and they did not behave like normal elves. And based on the ancient records, the forest was called Nemorensis, and it was the primordial forest of the elves. And the record stated that there were disagreements between the leader and his son, and the skirmish led to the Alphaseer's winning exile from the forest with his follower. And the elves returning to the ancestral home was problematic affair, at least as far as humans were concerned. Their sudden departure threatened to bankrupt many of the feudals whose economy relied on slave labor. As for Sterling Guy, he was concerned for other reasons. The Alphaseers still maintained a large standing army, and many of the slaves were veterans or had martial training of sort, and Guy suspected that their sudden departure would be a sign of another war with the elves. And the most recent war with the elves took place roughly 270 years ago, and at the time the elves had conquered more than half the continent, and it was Bresamen who had stemmed this tide of conquest and reclaimed the land for the humans. And the memory of such events were long forgotten in the mind of humans, and it was a fact that slowly faded into a legend, and they took for granted the reason why they had obedient elven slaves, and the elves that had a prodigious lifespan still remember, and as such the return of the Alphaseer and his army was the biggest threat that a growing rebellion in Sassari. And during that time, Melina spent it traveling all over the continent, and it was a wonder what means of transportation she was using. Baron believed that Melina was using magic as a means of teleportation, and all the story had something to do with the blessing she had of her nameless god. And there was talk among the rats of whether they should ally themselves with the elves or not, and Melina did argue with Lucrezia on the matter, and they usually had such argument in Imperial study. And Lucrezia was firmly opposed to this, and she said, "The elves have not forgotten all of those years of oppression, and how can we be certain that they will not turn on us on a moment's notice?" "Beggars can be choosers," Lucrezia said. Melina. It is like you want to lose this war. As it stands, we do not have nearly enough soldiers to take Veragerum, and the infantry alone has over 100,000 soldiers, and what do we have to work with?" "I see your point, Melina. Still, our human allies have promised us 50,000 soldiers, and if all goes to plan, and we can take the scale in our favor," said Lucrezia. "I wouldn't count on them if I were you, and they are going to see first how we do, and if we start winning, and then they will commit their forces. They are not to be trusted. When all is said and done, they too will betray us, and who knows, they might even flank and attack us to get on the elders' good side," suggested Melina. "And what do you have against humans anyway?" asked Lucrezia suddenly. "Nothing," said Melina. "And did I give you the impression that I hated humans?" "No, it is just that you speak so negatively of them, so I was under the impression that you hated us for enslaving the Nitzkai," said Lucrezia apologetically. "I do not want to indulge in such negative emotions, my dear Lucrezia. As for our human allies, I am only telling you things as I see them, and they are greedy and power-hungry. It is as simple as that, and you can choose whether to believe me or not. And just remember that your choice might lead you and your people to perdition," said Melina ominously. "You do have a point, and I'm not blind to the scheming of the men around me, and many do envy my position of power," said Lucrezia. And she added, you have my permission to go approach the non-humans for it, and when you speak to them, say that you're representing the interests of Sassari and not the interests of the human race. And it would be wise to distance ourselves from our species. If someone were to ask for a public apology, would you do it, asked Melina? Maybe, depending on how much they wish to contribute, said Lucrezia. Just to be safe, we should offer a portion of goods and supplies. If I were you, I would be looking for a new source of income, said Melina. Do you have any suggestions? Inquired Lucrezia. Try Dokai. It is a source of all of the bizarre goods that some of the merchants acquire, and with large shipments we might be able to drain some of the resources of our enemy, and prioritizing luxury goods and sell them in the capital, said Melina. We may incur a deficit with this bizarre scheme of yours, said Lucrezia. Not if you sell them for twice the amount, and haven't you noticed that our peers prefer expensive items instead of cheap ones? And I can tell you how many times I have seen Elaine bragging about a cubic zirconium she paid a fortune for, said Melina. A what and a what? Asked Lucrezia. A fake diamond. And a good outcome is amidst high-quality fake diamonds, said Melina. I am certain you do, said Lucrezia. Now back to the matter at hand. Which races have significant standing army to pose a threat? As for not only the elves, but the giants, orcs, dwarves, and nagas, and even the mermaids have a good track record, and due to their low number, they have to refine their fighting skills to minimize casualty. As a result, their kill ratio is on average 1 to 100, and our allies' kill ratio is 10 to 1, and meaning that it takes 10 humans to kill one guy, explained Melina. When you put it that way, the non-humans seem like a better choice, said Lucrezia, standing up and pointing towards the door. Go forth, Melina, and get us some non-human allies. Spare no expense. Losing is not an option for us. Tone it down, Lucrezia. And I will try to haggle when the opportunity seems right. And try to hire some mercenaries as well. And focus on the good ones with a good track record. And also, how do you feel about necromancy, asked Melina. I don't care. Just do whatever it takes to keep us from turning into corpses. And the shovels are in the shed, said Lucrezia. Melina gave a low bow and then she left the room. Alright, we finished the chapter. Fish, wake up.